Hello again. In this video we'll discuss what happens with the main residence here with regards to inheritance tax. So in the previous sets of videos on estate planning we explained that we would effectively make sure that the main residence was held in tenants in common, which enables it to be split if the first person, whoever dies first, really. And what would happen is that the value of 325,000, presuming of course that the house, half the house is worth at least that, would pass into the single settler trust, giving the spouse the ability to live in that house for the remainder of her life. And the main point of that was that the value of that part of the house would grow faster inside of the trust than the allowance, which is 325 for inheritance tax. The 175 residential nil rate band allowance would either be passed to the surviving spouse or directly to the children, and it would depend upon the situation that was there. So that's the home, but sometimes the home is quite a high value, and just in it of itself, in let's say your people are in their 60s now and then they die in their late 80s or 90s, the house could potentially more than double in value to well over £1 million. So in that scenario we'll discuss within the whole of life insurances how that is dealt with. But usually the safest mechanism is to keep the home between the married couple. There is some planning where you can gift away part of the value of the home, but there are all sorts of tax implications around that, which have income tax implications and capital gains tax implications. So usually it's not the best route, and certainly one would never give more than 50% of the value of the house across to the children before the second spouse died. So it's about safeguarding the settlers who are our clients, but there are ways of avoiding the tax, as I say, on the marital home, and it mainly involves using the trusts on first death and then effectively using insurance to pay the excess tax, unless of course you're willing to downsize, which is a different thing. And if that's the case, then the money that's released from the downsizing can then be gifted across to the children directly or via trusts, as previously discussed. So that's the home. Main point is most people want to remain in their home as long as possible, and therefore placing these insurances into place covers that bit, as opposed to using it to cover the entire estate, which would be extraordinarily expensive over time. So that's the marital home and how to deal with that for inheritance tax purposes.